Hi, this is Sarah, the Stitchin Mommy, and it's Tuesday, October 1st. And normally I would have filmed yesterday, but I have joined a Facebook group called Enchanted Stitching Challenges, and they decided to release their challenges for the new month today, rather than releasing them on Monday like they usually would. And so I was waiting to be able to do my planning for this week's homework in order to know what to share with you and make editing easier next time to have the screenshots of what I have decided to work on this week. So I had to do that this morning right before I filmed, and so now I can film. So before we get into everything, I have some administrative details. Katie's going to come join us here too. She heard me talking and she came running. It was really cute. Last week I forgot to show you a picture of my fully finished furry animals. I shared my furry animals Heaven and Earth design finish 2 videos ago when it was still being pinned on my cutting mat. But I fully finished that later that day and gave it to, or maybe the next day. I gave it to Shelly, Key X Stitch, because she was coming to my house the day after I filmed, and I knew she kept talking about it, and I knew she really liked it, and I didn't really have a plan for it, so I figured, you know what, let's just give it to her. She can enjoy it. So I put a picture on Instagram that some of you may have seen of what it looked like in its frame, so I'll insert that here so you can see what it looks like all finished up and in its cute little frame, and that was a 3.5 by 5 inch frame. You do see a little bit of fabric, but I figured that would be okay. And I had it pinned and blocked on the cutting board because of the half stitches, it did warp the fabric just a little bit, and so I needed to, when it was wet, I needed to stretch it out to be more square and then tack it down while it dried so it would dry square. So that's what blocking is. So that's why I was doing that. The other thing is I had some requests from some of you to see the birthday cake that I was making for my son that was in the oven last week. And so I'll insert some pictures here of the birthday cake. It was a Minecraft theme, and I found a couple ideas on Pinterest and kind of took those ideas and made it my own a little bit. It has some Rice Krispie treats for sand and blue Jello jigglers for water and orange Jello jigglers for lava because, my son can't have a Minecraft world without lava. So, and a plethora of Minecraft Lego people and items. So that was fun. He really enjoyed that. And I think that's it for now. So we can get into a little bit of haul. I got my Color and Cotton Threads of the Month Friday or Saturday. Can't remember exactly now. They're really pretty. Again, super pretty colors in the nice combination. And I think I will try Ingeborg's last video. She showed putting things on a darker background than a lighter background, and the colors turned out better. So I'll try that on here. And they're still kind of washing out a little bit because it's not super dark here, but that's better, I think. But they're really pretty. So this is Primrose, Lemongrass, Cameo, Bell Bottoms, which is really fun, and Rainforest, which is a light, like a seafoam green. So those are really pretty. So more things to bobbinate. I almost got my silk thread that I got from Anne, the Redfish Dye Works floss. I almost got that bobbinated the other day, but then the show we were planning to watch wasn't really a show. Like, I think they teased you with like a clip show or something, so we're like, oh, have to wait. So I usually bobbinate floss while we're watching certain shows, so now I've got some things to do. So, really enjoy these every month, getting those, and I'm excited to use more of them in the coming year in some new starts, maybe. Not all of my new starts call for substituting floss like that, but if I do have a pattern that would work, I'm going to try it. So, and the other thing is yesterday, there was a too low to show DMC floss sale at Joann's on like Friday and Saturday maybe. And I saw on a group on Facebook that was about 40 cents. But yesterday I had a 40% off coupon that was good on Saturday and Sundays, or Sunday and Monday. So yesterday I went and used my 40% off my entire regularly priced purchase and bought all of the new flosses, 1 through 35. I didn't have those yet. So that's what I did yesterday. And these were about, I guess, 34, 35 cents each, something like that, with the 40% off coupon. So, yay! I had a, Kitty, come on. I had a, the new Marabella Garden Serenade, where it's the lady playing the violin. I have not officially have it in my hot little hands yet, but I will soon. And I love that pattern. And some of those I noticed, some of the new flosses are used in that pattern. So I figured it was about time that I went ahead and got them. And they weren't in the trays at Joann's that you go and there's all the floss are in the little trays. They were on hooks above the trays. So if you're looking for them, that's where they were in my Joann's. So in case that helps anybody. I almost gave up hope. I was like, oh no, they don't have them yet. But then they were separate on little pegs. So they haven't updated their trays yet to reflect the new colors, but they do still have them in stock. So that's what I've gotten this week. And got kitty hair all over me. So what did I work on this week? So this week I had showed you what I was planning to work on. I was planning to work on my son's piece, Dragon Ride, and my niece's piece, Letter H Fairy, and Villa Mirabilia, to start working on the pot. When I decided to join Enchanted Stitching Challenges on Facebook, I looked into it. I had some recommendations from friends that it might be a good fit for me, and I was not wrong. They were not wrong. Basically what they do is they have 4 challenges every week, and each challenge has like a question or a prompt of some kind for you to pick a project to work on for that challenge. But there's 3 levels of involvement that you can have with each prompt. So you could either do 30 minutes of stitching, 50 stitches, or 250 stitches. And each level gives you a different point value. So it's 1 point, 2 points, or 5 points. So I really liked that because if there's something that I'm working on that I don't want to count stitches, I can just do the smaller task and do a 30-minute chunk. It won't have as many points, but it's still participating and it's still fun. And if I do have something where I'm counting stitches, then I can go for either the 50 or the 250, depending on how much time I have. Because 50 doesn't take that long to do. And I have found this past week that I can get to 250 reasonably well on a lot of projects. I think my problem with the iris piece that I was having trouble getting to 1200 last time is just the amount of confetti in there. It didn't seem like there was that much, but in the grand scheme of things, there really was. And the one particular patch of confetti I ran into last week, probably maybe like 25 stitches a day that day, and you can't make good progress over the course of time with that much confetti. So some of the other things I was working on, like the dragon and my Mirabilia, I can see there's bigger blocks of color, so I can get to those numbers a little quicker. And I was able to do Dragon Ride for 2 of the challenges. One of the challenges was in this group, it's all Disney themed, so each month they choose a Disney movie, and then all month long the themes follow the Disney movie's plot. So I jumped in the last week of September, which was Sleeping Beauty September. So the challenges were all related to the end of Sleeping Beauty. And so the first challenge was the good fairies gave the prince a couple of various weapons to help defeat Maleficent. And so what weapon would you give the prince to help him defeat her? And I decided, because I had these whips already picked, I wanted to make these whips fit these challenges. So I picked Dragon Ride for this, and I said, there's a crystal ball right here. I said I would give Prince Philip a crystal ball so he would know, her moves and be able to defeat her because he knows what she's going to do. And then the second challenge I used this for was like the flip side of their fight, where she uses the thorn bushes and turns herself into a dragon and various things to keep him from getting to the castle. And so what would you do to keep Prince Philip from getting to Aurora? And so I said I'd use my dragon to keep him away. So I use this for both challenges to help him and to hinder him in his quest. So I highlight my stitches on full coverage pieces and Teresa Wentzler's, and there might be like one other one. Most other patterns I do not highlight. And so I was thinking, well, I'll just count my stitches on full coverage and anything else that I highlight already, because it's easy when I'm highlighting to count the highlights and then mark it. And so, but I found when I was working on something else recently that I think my letter H fairy, which I did work on, but I didn't count for any of the challenges. I was working on it and found myself wanting to count the stitches, even though I don't highlight on that chart. And so I thought, well, maybe I could count more often, like each row or so, if I'm trying to count it for a challenge, and still see if I can use some other non-highlighting pieces and see how I like it. And I did that on Villa Mirabilia for one of the challenges, and I liked it pretty well. So I think I will try to do more of the counting challenges as much as I can. But then if there is, I did one of the challenges this past week with just the time, because I was doing mostly backstitching, and I hadn't really decided I liked the thought of counting stitches on a non-highlighting pattern, and so I went ahead and just timed that one. But I think in the future I'll try to do the counting stitches ones as much as possible for at least the 50 stitch one. But I found that I was able to get 250 stitches on both dragon challenges, so this got a little over 500 stitches, and also on my Villa Mirabilia I got to 300 on that one, and I waited till the next, I just kept stitching past the 250 mark because I wanted to take another picture the next day, because that one I have to lay out on the floor. I can't just lay it on my chair and take a picture because it's too big. So I had to wait till the next morning when the sun was out to take a picture, so I just kept stitching and got over 300 on that one. But it was fun to do all of this. So all that to say, I'm enjoying the challenge, and this is what I worked on. This is what the progress I got. So on my dragon, I was able to do the two challenges for this one, and so this is what it looked like before, and here it is now. For the first challenge, I worked on the actual crystal ball as well as his cuffs and pants in order to finish out those colors in all of the man here. So those are 1/1 stitches on the dragon, on the dragon rider. And then the next time I picked this up and worked on the next challenge, I worked on the wings, which is where my son directed me to. So I finished this color right here, and then I think that one was actually not in this part, which is where he wanted me to work. So I finished this string here, over here, and a little bit in the borders. And then because he wanted me to work here, I finished out the challenge in these bits here. I worked this darker color and then started in on the second color here. So pretty fun. So I didn't end up stitching on this the first day I had planned. I didn't get any regular stitching time that day. But the next day I got the whole first challenge of all these little stitches I got done in one night. And then the next challenge wasn't quite done yet, so I went into another day that I had been planning to work on my fairy, and I worked on this just enough to finish the challenge and then moved on to my fairy. So that was fun, getting all of that accomplished. And it's really fun seeing the before and after pictures too, because then it's helping you see the progress too. So that's always a fun perk, I guess, of these challenges. And I'm doing it all on my phone, so I don't have to worry about transferring pictures to my computer, because that just takes an extra step that's not necessary. So I'll take a picture of the item, of the before and after on my phone, post it to the group on my phone. Everything is there, and it seems to work pretty fluidly that way. So I next worked on letter H fairy for 2 days, or 1.5 days, I guess, because I worked on the dragon for part of the first day. That's this one by Nora Corbett for my niece. And I didn't have this down for any challenges, but I really wanted to work on it because it was for her birthday, and I figured I had time to work on it and not do the challenges. So, because one of the challenges I used my tea and cakes piece, which was my travel piece, so I knew I would have that done. And the other one was Villa Mirabilia, and I knew I would have 3 days to work on that one. So even if I did want to try to go for the 250 and I needed the whole 3 days, I had it. And I could easily do 250 in 3 days or less. So I wasn't too worried about that. So I went ahead and worked on this one just for fun. This is what that looked like last time. And here it is now. And I think I had a lot of fun working on this. I don't know if that's any better. So I worked on the light green, the little bits here, and then finished out that over here on this leaf, and came out and finished my string right here of that light green color. And then I did I do any more? Oh yeah, I did her leg and backstitched her skin, which I think she's super precious. And then I did one strand of gray, which is Old Salem Spell by Victorian Motto, and I'm starting to see the variegation in here, which is cool. And then I beaded her skirt, the bottom part of her wing, and the rest of this, these petals and leaves that she's blowing, and then also all of these beads and these beads, because I'm using a DMC 524, I believe, which is pretty much the same color as this fabric, which is, I always forget. Same color as the fabric. It's called for water lily, I think. Yes, water lily linen. So I'm using DMC 524, which matches the fabric, so that I can switch from bead color to bead color and not have to switch my floss. Because if I were using a yellow thread for these and a blue thread for these, then I'd have to switch back and forth. But using a color that matches the fabric, I can just keep using it on all of them. And I really like how she turned out. So next up on this, there's the rest of this circle goes around here. She's standing on that. I'll finish out the H, finish out the circle and the vines, and there's some more vines even below that circle. So she's really coming along. I really enjoyed working on her and getting some beading in there too. That's always fun. So this would be fun to finish before the end of the year, so that I can start the next one at the beginning of next year. So then my last project I worked on was Villa Mirabilia, which is sadly out of print now. I got it way back when it was still regular price, and they weren't discontinuing things every 5 seconds. And I used this for a challenge that said when the spell is broken, stitch on something that would wake up when all the castle is waking up, when the spell is broken. So I said I would stitch on this elegant lady who would have been attending the party. And so this is what she looked like last time. And here she is now. Here's my elegant lady who woke up from the spell that was cast in Sleeping Beauty. And I worked up here in the bush. And some of this was for the challenge, and then some of it was just yesterday stitching without the challenge, because I finished the challenge in 2 days using, I finished up like a lighter shade of green here, and then I did a blended color here and all the way down here and here, and then yesterday I filled in, and then some of the dark color too. And yesterday I did one strand, one length of this dark color, one more length of the blend, and then I worked down here and did one more length of border color. And I actually have the blend still on my needle. So I think I did this color and then this, and now I'm on the blend again to kind of get this chunk done so I can fill in some more, and like the pot starts right here, roughly. So some of this was challenge and some of this was extra. And technically, I have this down for 3 more days because I really do want to get good progress on that pot and the plant. So that is now the challenge for going forward. So going forward, the new challenges are for The Nightmare Before Christmas because it's October, and I don't care for that movie. I have never seen it, but because the challenges are fairly generic, you can still, pick whatever you have that will go with it, and you don't have to like the movie to participate. But I still understand things about it, like the Harry Potter group that everyone has been doing this year. I don't know any of those details about anything. At least Nightmare Before Christmas, it's about Halloween and Christmas, and everything is fairly normal in the real world, whereas the Harry Potter theme has weird names for things and weird items and words that have been created in this science fictional universe, and so it's kind of that the challenges in that one they don't make sense to me a lot of the time. So it's even though I'm not a fan of this movie that's for October, the challenges so far at least are doable for me, and I can find things that will work for them. So the last challenge was I used my travel piece, Tea and Cakes, because it was for Happily Ever After and work on the project that's closest to a finish. And I sorted all my whips in my Excel sheet and looked at the ones. Nothing I have right now is really obviously close to a finish, but I sorted it. This is my smallest project, and I'm about half done with it. So I figured, well, half of a small project is a lot less stitches than, whatever else on a big project. So I went ahead and assumed this would be my closest to a finish and used this for that one, and I only timed it for 30 minutes, which was like a day and a quarter in the valet line. So I was doing mostly backstitching right in here, and so that was nice to be able to just time it, because then I didn't have to count backstitches. So this is what that looked like last time, and here it is now. I went ahead and finished this cake completely and came over here and did one strand in the border, which I used like a yard long string because I wanted to cut the DMC variegated to get the whole length of variegation, and so it ends up being really long. So I did all the way here, and I stopped it, and then came back up here and went down here and over here, and then it finally ran out. And then I'm starting in on the cross stitches on this one, which will be a stack of teacups. So really, really good progress. This is a free pattern you can find on Lakeside Needlecraft's Facebook page. And so I'm really happy with how this is coming along, how quickly it's going. And they had a bonus event in Enchanted stitching challenges that if you fully finish your project, you get some bonus points. But mine was closest to a finish, but not close enough to actually finish. So I did not get a fully finished bonus point, and that's okay with me. It's more for, I'm really enjoying the concept, I think, of, like I said last time, intentional variety, where I'm kind of branching out a little bit into different whips, using their prompts as like a guide. And I know, and I've kind of missed that this past year. So now I'm excited to join in on the fun. So if anybody wants to join, I believe they're still accepting new stitchers, so head on over there. I will also share with you my temperature pieces, which are making progress, not cut up. Here's my temperature quilt, and I am working steadily on this. There was always some days I don't get to work on it at all, and then, was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. I let myself spend time in the middle of the day working on it when I usually don't, because these pieces are technically model stitches for my shop, and so I figured it's work to stitch on them and get them caught up so they're done fairly close to the end of the year. So I decided to give them some extra time in the middle of the day yesterday, and started to get a little more caught up on September. So this is what it looked like last time, and here it is now. So I do still have some more sashing that needs to go in right here, but I was working on filling in a lot of the highs in September and basically picking a color. So I picked that color and finished it everywhere it went, and then I picked the next color and finished it everywhere it went in the whole month, and then picked that color and did that everywhere it went. And so I'll keep doing that for the rest of the month of September, and then fill in all the lows, which tend to have a little bit less variety than the highs. But I thought it was interesting that we started out 101, and like, I don't know yesterday's temperature, but these final days were in the 60s. So fall is upon us. So there's that, and now I can finish this out and start October. So I do plan to like make some more time to get this more cut up, because I do want it cut up. I think it's fun to work on it like right when it's happening. And my balloons had some times where I worked on it, but not, like, sometimes I have on my like list of things to do in my phone, I have a reminder that alternates every other day, and so what I had been doing is if I don't get time on my quilt day, I just won't do it until the next time a quilt day shows up, and then the next day I'll have 2 balloon days in a row with 1 blank day of no stitching at all. And so this time that happened again, where a quilt day I didn't get any time to work on it. So the next day was technically a balloon day, but I worked on my quilt, because I figured, well, I worked on my balloons last, so now I should spend some time on my quilt. So I think until I'm caught up, I might try that, where I'll go back and forth from what I actually had time to work on last time, rather than what my day is telling me to do. So this is the mock-up of temperature balloons, and this is what it looked like before, and here it is now. And the lighting is actually really nice today for these blue fabrics. These are both light blue MCG Textiles even weave 28 count 1/1. So I got this middle row finished and a few started down here. So really, like, not that many blocks. But, you know, progress is progress. So I'll allow myself to work on this during the days as well to get that caught up again. This one is really easy to stay caught up on if it is current, because there's only 2 blocks, 2 different colors, potentially 1, but the quilt, since there's highs and lows, sometimes it can be a little bit more time consuming because you might change your thread more often, but it's still doable if I'm kept caught up in current. So before I go on to my plans, I thought I would share with you my daughter's piece that she did start this week. It wasn't until Sunday, I think, that she finally got it started, but she finished that plastic canvas piece, and this is the kit that I had found for her. I think I found it at Joann's, which is a little learn to craft kit of a kitty and a purple ball of yarn, which is perfect for her. It comes with 11 count Aida. So, and the white in here is not stitched. It's just fabric showing through. And she knows how to do X's, and she knows how to do backstitching. So hopefully this won't be too hard for her. She just got the smallest of starts, and I did eventually have to tie the needle on the thread because she was having trouble of it falling off. So here's her start, which is just at the top of the kitty's ear. And I noticed she poked it in the wrong spot on one of these other ones, and we fixed it. And it looks like she poked it in the wrong spot here too, so we'll have to fix that. But slow going, but she claims she likes it. I'm not trying to pressure her to do this. This is all on her own. The other day, like, she wanted to stop, and I told her, but it seemed like she was just kind of being lazy. So I said, well, why don't you just finish the row, get all 5 of those stitches done, and then you can stop. And then it looks like she did a little bit more even than that. So finishing the row gave her, got her motivated, and she kept going for a little bit longer. So that's her project. I'll show that every little bit if she has progress. So going forward into this week, I knew I wanted to work on Villa Marabella for at least some more time. 3 days if possible. And then also, this is the beginning of the month, so my husband's piece and my son's piece would technically be supposed to be worked on this week. And so technically today and tomorrow, because they're normally on the 1st and the 2nd, but I had been doing Terry Lee's birthday sal with Fancy Ladies all the way through the 3rd, and I chose to do Villa Mirabilia for those days. So then I shoved my family pieces back a little bit. And so they were technically going to be on the 4th and the 5th instead this time, which is fine. So I checked the challenges this week, and they're related to the Nightmare Before Christmas. So the first one was long. I'm just basically I'm not gonna like read the whole challenge for you because I know that's not always everybody's cup of tea, but in general, the basic gist of it is you have to work on something that scares you. And in this group, if you can weave a story to make it work, it works. And so for me, I'm going to work on my Simpsons piece for that one because I'm scared my husband will find out that I'm working on this before I give it to him and ruin the surprise. So far, this is still a secret, and he doesn't watch these videos. He said he would watch them if I wanted him to critique something or see something, but he's not really interested, and that's okay. So I can still show them on here. But I am nervous. Like if the first falls on if the first falls on a weekend or a Wednesday when one of those days he's going to be home, I get nervous, and so because I don't want him to see it yet. So I try to sometimes shift it to a day that he won't be home very much. So that's why this is something that I'm scared of. So this is where the starting point is, and I do highlight on this because it's a full coverage. So I will try to get to either 50 or 250 done on here. And I think that should be doable. At the very least, I could just keep doing a few more rows in Marge's hair. And each row is, you know, let's see, how wide are these rows? This is on 40 count even weave, 1/2 half stitches. And each width of each run of hair is like 1, 2, 3, like, yeah, 30 or 40 stitches across. So that'll get to, oh, but they are half stitches, so they need to be doubled. So yeah, that should get to 250 pretty quickly though. So we'll see how that goes. If I get tired of the blue, actually I have a light grayish color on my string on my needle right now, so I might do a little bit more of that first and then move on to another color. Maybe I'll work on her face some more. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see how it goes. What I'm feeling. So that was the project for the first challenge. And what I like about this is there's no time specific days. So things can be fluid. Like, it's all within the week, but within that week you can work on them whenever. So that's kind of nice. The next one I decided to make work on something that's the colors of Halloween Town, which I think were red, black, slime green, white, and orange, I think. And so I decided to work on my touchdown piece for my son because this was like high on my list to do this week as well. And so I'm doing a conversion for the Broncos and the Raiders. And I figured, I don't remember if I finished the jersey. I do have some gray to do in his jersey, but I figured I could work on white or maybe orange on this piece, and he's got white pants. So I may work 250 stitches on his white pants in order to get to meet the prompt. I was hoping to fill in his gray, but it's fine. And what I'm interested in for these projects is they might come out more often than once a month if they meet a prompt. So that's always a possibility. So this is where this is at now. This is the same 28 count even weave that my temperature pieces are on, only this is 2/2. And that's that. So this one will get white stitches, maybe orange, because there might be some orange stripes on his pants. So I'll have to see how I charted that, because I did a color conversion. No, it looks like maybe not until the bottom. He's got like a little cuff right there of his socks that might have a stripe on it, but his pants are probably going to be just white. So I'll probably just do white. And if it feels like it's going too slow for 250, then I'll just stop at 50 and call it good, and I'm okay with that too. The next one was, I forget what his name is because I've never seen the movie. No, I don't think I said that. The Jack character has a little companion in the afterlife. So what would you choose as your posthumous companion and stitch on that? So I thought I would love a little kitten to join me. So I'm going to work on my cherry kitten, which I did not get to work on earlier in the year when I had planned on it because of a vacation got in the way. So I do have this as a goal of something to get to before the end of the year. So I will hopefully get 50 or 250 stitches done on this little guy, cherry kitten. And here's where he's at now. I'm doing this on a pull stitches fabric that's really pretty. Instead of the charted background, I'm doing a no background version. So here's the kitty on this pretty puffy cloud, purple and blue fabric. And here's these closer stitches. This is a 28 count 1/1. And I have this brown on my needle, so I'll probably start with that and see how it goes, see what I feel like doing. So that's the starting point of Cherry Kitten, and it would be nice to get 250 on this, but again, if it feels like 250 is too out of reach for the time I have, I'll stop at 50 and call it good. which is why I love the option of not having a huge goal that you have to do or you can't get any points, you know, so it's nice. And the point system, I guess, goes towards your team, and we are divided up into the 4 parks in Walt Disney World. So I'm part of the Magic Kingdom group, which is really nice because that's basically Disneyland, is similar to Disneyland, which is here in California, which I have been to multiple times. I've never been to Disney World, so being in the Magic Kingdom group is fun because that's actually familiar territory for what I have been to in real life. So, so all my points that I earn will go towards my team. So this past week, assuming everything is counted, I think it might have been, everything I earned was 16 points because I did 3 of the 4 challenges. I got the full 5 points for 250 stitches, and one was 1 point for 30 minutes. So that's fun. The last challenge was, Jack was stressing about the monotony of Halloween Town and the same Halloween scares and wanted something different. And so they said, work on something that's repetitive, has a repetitive design. And so I thought, well, I'll pull this out. I wanted to work on this some more. And Twisted Band Sampler by the Northern Expressions Needleworks. And each of these bands is very repetitive. And I think I might still be in this flower band, actually. I would love to get to some more specialty stitches before the end of the year. So that's what I chose for that challenge. So it'd be fun to get 250 stitches on this. This is where this is now. And yeah, I do need to finish that cross stitch band. So that'll be easy to count. Specialty stitches work for this, but each leg of the specialty stitch is 1/2 of a stitch. So it's like a back stitch, so it does work, but I think it would be a little trickier to count. So this will be easy to count cross stitches a little easier. So I'm working on this light orange over here, and we'll see how far I get. Maybe 250 on this too. We'll have to wait and see. 50 or 250. And see how far I can get on that. So the challenge now is whether or not, how quickly I can get these challenges finished, and any extra time will go towards Villa Mirabilia. And I might go back and forth. Maybe I'll do some Villa Mirabilia work on the pot, and then do one challenge, and then do some more pot, plant, and another challenge, and on like that, and see how it goes. So that's my plans for this week. I thought I would share with you some little charts that I made up. I decided to start, I printed a new whip picture list. With the pictures are slightly more blown up than they were before, and my printer is running out of some ink, I think yellow maybe. So they're not the best representations 100%, but it shows all the different projects that I have going, and for when I'm figuring out what I want to work on, I can look at this to be reminded of everything that I have. I have 47 projects right now, not counting my temperature pieces, because those are technically model stitches, not personal projects. So, and then I also made a chart with all of my projects and boxes, which I'll probably update in my Excel sheet, but this, I printed it out too, just so I could have it here at my chair and take care of in more than one place. Which, starting with this coming month of October all the way through the end of next year, and I'll mark off when I've worked on something. So when I'm picking out a challenge or thinking about what I want to work on for a challenge, I can look at what it looks like to see what's in it. And I can also look at how long has it been since I've worked on it, and should I get to it. Because ideally I would like to work on everything at least once a year, if not more than once a year. So I can kind of help plot things based on if I've worked on it recently. and then everything can get a little bit of love, because I do really like all of my projects. So, I also had made up some sheets like this for tracking my stitches, which went to 1,200 for the 1,200 stitch challenge in Full Coverage Fanatics on Facebook. But since I've decided that's not really for me, I'm still using my other sheet I had of this, and I'll just use chunks of it until I use it up, because why waste the paper? But I did make a new one that now goes to 300 in little chunks, so that I could do my 250 challenge, things for each of the events. So that's kind of a fun way that I'm just tracking it on paper with little tally marks. So that's my stuff for that's kind of what I'm doing lately with my, how I'm choosing my stitches. And I think it's going to be fun. So hopefully you've enjoyed that and got some ideas of what you might like to do. And I hope I'll look forward to seeing what everybody else is working on whatever groups you're part of. There's so many different groups to be a part of. Lastly, I noticed when I was editing my video last week that there's apparently over 6,000 of you who enjoy watching me chatter on about cross stitch and share what I'm working on. So that's a little bit mind-blowing to think of that many people care to hear what I have to say. But it's really nice. It's encouraging and flattering and fun, because I get to talk to all of you about my stitching, and you care and you listen and you give feedback, and that's something that you don't necessarily get with the people that are regularly in your life who are not stitchers. So it's been fun to be a part of this community and to interact with all of you and to make friends along the way, and that's been really special. So I decided, as we do often, to have a giveaway for meeting 6,000 subscribers. And for this, I received, I believe her name was Cindy. I forget. She sent me a bunch of Teresa Wensler kits that she had that she knew she would no longer be stitching, and told me that I could either keep them and use them or pass them along. And I am keeping some, but I am passing along some. So this is just one this time. This is going to be the English Cottage Sampler by Teresa Wensler. And I am going to be starting the English Garden Sampler in 2020, but this one just didn't really appeal to me. But it may appeal to one of you. So I am going to pass along this kit. It is a full kit. This particular one, some of the kits that she had opened and did some organizing and whatnot before she passed it along. But this one is actually unopened. It comes with the beads and the threads and the fabric. And this is 28 count even weave. It looks like it's a little bit mottled, not mottled, but like one direction is a lighter color and the other directions are darker. So it's kind of a rustic look, I guess. And then obviously the instructions and stuff are in there. But it comes with everything you need to stitch with. Because international shipping is a bear from US these days, I'm going to offer it for free to the winner if they're in the United States. If you're international and you really, really want this, I'm going to open it up to you if you're willing to pay the difference in shipping. So I'll pay whatever I would have normally paid to send it to somewhere in the States, and then you could pay the difference of shipping of whatever that would be to get it to you, which is probably significantly cheaper than this kit would be with all the supplies, just because it feels a little bit outrageous to ship something all the way over there just for a giveaway. So things that are only paper, like if it was just a pattern, I could ship it pretty cheaply, but since it's got all this stuff in it, I can't do that anymore. But for US, I can ship it just fine to any of you. and I will leave this open for 2 weeks. And so not next week, but the week after, I'll draw a name, and I want you to answer the question: if you were to have your private stitching cottage anywhere, where would it be? Would you want a private stitching cottage on the beach, in the mountains, by a stream, in your backyard? Where would you choose to have a private little cottage, since there's a cottage in this sampler? You can answer that question if you are interested in being entered for the drawing of this kit. So I think that is everything. It's a little bit longer video today, so hopefully that's not too terrible, but I think I got a lot of details about the Facebook challenge group out of the way, so in the future I won't need to wax eloquent too much about that, because hopefully most of you will know what I'm talking about. And I think that's everything. So in the meantime, I am looking forward to this week and stitching and seeing how much I'm able to accomplish, and I hope you are too. And I will, Lord willing, come back next week and see what I've been up to. So until then, happy stitching. Bye.